All right. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Stakeholder. I'm from the Best Health Solutions. So part of my work that I do around here is stakeholder engagement and coordination, where I deal with more stakeholders, external work for the people that we are working with, starting from the communities themselves, community people, moving forward to community leaders and the stakeholders that are involved within the particular community. And also needless to say that we are also working with community-based organizations. So I also maintain that part of the community-based organizations and how we engage with those community-based organizations, and also how we assist them when it comes to their programs and also their implementation science work, depending on the program that they are doing. So just today I'll be looking into, like I've said, stakeholder engagement, just to unpack in terms of what is stakeholder engagement basically, and also why is it critical in community-based implementation science, and also to discuss with you some brief points, key points around stakeholder engagement. So for instance, stakeholder engagement refers to the process of involving all relevant actors in planning, in decision making, and also in the implementation of programs. Like I mentioned earlier on, to say we are dealing with community-based organizations. So the stakeholder engagement starts in the inception of the programs, and also the daily. It is a continuous process whereby you need to constantly engage those part of stakeholders that we'll be looking into. And from a community level perspective, when it comes to the programs that they are implementing, so the stakeholder starts when you are planning, the process of planning. How are you going to be rolling out the program? So you invite the stakeholders that they have different expertise, technical expertise in looking into the program that you are dealing with. And also when it comes to decision making as well, to say what kind of interventions should you look into be doing with this particular stakeholder. I'll just make an example to say, if you are in a community and then you are conducting or implementing a program that speaks to, for instance, stigma and discrimination reduction at a community level and working with key and vulnerable population groups. So in that, just to infuse the stakeholder engagement factor into that example that I'm just making up now, is to say when you are now doing stakeholder engagement in the planning process, in the planning phase, that is where you bring in the people with technical expertise in relating to that program. For instance, you need healthcare workers, because they are the ones who are receiving those people who are coming for access to healthcare services within their facilities. So when you are dealing with stakeholder engagement, you need to bring along the healthcare workers leveraging their expert knowledge and technical expertise when it comes to them receiving those kind of key population groups that are accessing their services in their facilities, and how do they relate to them and also engage with them when it comes to those particular dynamics when it comes to the implementation of the program. You need also to bring in the mastery from the community leaders. The community leaders you are bringing from an angle of saying they are the people who are staying within that particular community. They are the people who are leading those particular key and vulnerable population groups, because those type of population groups, they just don't come from anywhere. They come from particular communities, where now you need to bring in the community leaders, because they understand the dynamics of the community setups and how things are run within a particular community. We normally call them catchment areas or areas of operation. So you need to bring in the community leaders and leverage their community leadership, their community expertise, and them and their understanding of that particular community. You also need to bring in forth, let's say for instance, if it's law enforcement agencies, because they are working in that particular community on things that relates to community safety and those kind of forums. So you need to come to bring them into picture, so that they can also say out their views relating to the program that you will be conducting. I'm speaking this from a planning side of the program, to say what do you need to do when we are planning those kind of programs, and then those dynamics, they come into picture when you are now seeing through the program as it happens, and you are implementing the program, and also when it comes to you now having to continuously improve the quality of the programs. You know the people that you need to engage, you know the people that you need to seek some of the advices from. So those are the kind of examples that I can be sharing with you when it comes to what exactly are we looking to be doing with stakeholder engagement, and what exactly entails and forms part of the stakeholders. Who are those stakeholders that you are looking into doing? So you'll find out that from a community-based implementation science perspective, you have community-based organizations, CPOs, we have community leaders, traditional authorities that are residing within that particular communities. You have government agencies. Now we are speaking of Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Social Development, because they also have some interest when it comes to communities, and also when it comes to programs that are being implemented based on their objectives that they need to achieve by that particular community. You also need to some of the key stakeholders that we can have are funders, funding agencies, donors. They also form part of those stakeholders, because with community-based organizations, they are implementing these programs, and then in the implementation phase, you find out that they submit reports to those funders, they submit reports to donors to tell them about the improvements and them meeting the objectives that are set when they are doing those programs. So they are also important element within those stakeholders that they need to be infused within that particular stakeholder aspect. You also need to have academia and research institutions. So we have a very big interest when it comes to academia and research interest, in the sense that most of our work that we are doing here at Best Health Solutions is research-related work, whereby we are doing a community-led research. So this research speaks to us having to go out and seek interest. When we are seeking those kind of solutions from the communities, we find out that we get to involve the communities when there's a certain problem or there are certain glitches that are happening at the community level. What we normally do, we collaborate with community-based organizations. We collaborate with key and vulnerable population groups that are residing within the community-based organizations, so as to come together and co-create some of these solutions and see how we can look into resolving some of the issues that they are facing that might be affecting program implementation. So within that particular work, you will find out that we will constantly need these academia and research institutions, because of the work that we are doing that needs to form part of the research. So in that particular research, you will find out that we are working collaborative with community-based organizations, whereby they document best practices in terms of the models that they are using when they are conducting the program. And you will find that most of the time that the community-based organizations that you are working with, they have brilliant ideas in terms of how they target the key population that they are targeting. They have brilliant and innovative ideas that forms part of them being successful in their program implementation science aspect of it. So we not only want that to only go into the reports of the funders and donors, but we want the community-based organizations to be the one that showcase that particular best practice, to be the ones that showcase how they do it, so that it can be benchmarked to other communities and also other community-based organizations. For instance, if you realize that within the work that you are doing, we are being guided by the NSP, the National Strategic Plan in the context of South Africa, right? And within those NSP goals, we have communities aligning to those particular NSP goals. Goal number 1, breaking down barriers when it comes to achieving outcomes of HIV, TB, and STIs. So community-based organizations themselves, they have work that they are doing that aligns to that particular aspect of the NSP. They have objectives that align to those particular, in terms of addressing those particular goals for the NSP. For instance, breaking down barriers. Most of the programs that our communities they are working with, they are aligning to how can we assist key and population groups when it comes to breaking down barriers that might be making them to actually not be in a position to access those kind of services. And they have brilliant ideas when it comes to that and how they are doing it at the community level. Simple aspects, as small as they are, but they make a huge impact. I remember there was one community-based organization that was doing WhatsApp groups. It's something that we normally just utilize WhatsApp to just chat and whatnot. But for them, it was a best practice in terms of them getting the key population groups to form part of that WhatsApp group, and them discussing some of the issues that they are facing. If in that aspect you get to identify some of the problems that are there that are happening, and then they also get to discuss how are they relating to those kind of things, how are they finding it out when it comes to solutions, what are they doing in terms of breaking down some of those things. So it's a wonderful aspect, using WhatsApp groups to discuss health related issues and also come up with solutions, and also form part of that collaborative work within the community themselves. So it was one example that I just wanted to share with you, to say, in as much as community-based organizations, they might think this thing is small like that, and they are doing this almost, and everyone is doing this almost on a daily basis, but you'll find out that it's an innovative approach that most organizations are not utilizing in the space. So as we are doing this community research, we document some of those best practices, and we need academia and research institutions to come forth and look into how can we collaborate with them, how can they assist us from their technical expertise side, to say their research institutions, the bigger ones in that cause, and they understand the dynamics of research, and how do we link those community-based organizations to collaborate with those institutions, and then they bring forth documentation of best practices, and also publishing in other aspects. And we have been trying also to say community-based organizations needs to be the custodian of their data, needs to be the ones that tell the stories that are happening within their particular communities. Hence, in doing so, we have also been trying to push community-based organizations to actually write abstracts. So in writing those abstracts is one way, so that they can also showcase the work that they are doing at a community level, and in showcasing that work, you find out that they get to teach and to share some of the knowledges that they have come across when they are doing their program implementation. Those kind of knowledges, they can be benchmarked and to other community-based organizations, to other communities, and that particular organizations can be known to say they are doing this program, and how are they seeing the program, and how are they looking forward to achieve some of the objectives of the program. And not only stopping there, you will find out that that particular abstract submission phase of it grows the organization, it grows the persona, the personal aspect of the members of that particular organization. In any case, they are to wake up and say maybe the organization is closed, but they have something that stands by them to say, I am so and so, I was working in this organization, this is what I achieved during the course of my stay in that particular organization. So it's something that goes with you, and you have actually accumulated expertise, and you are now an expert when it comes to that particular program that you would have shared your expertise, and you would have shared your knowledge having worked in that space. So it's something that promotes personal growth within an organization, and it also promotes an organizational growth, and the organization being seen that this is what the work that they are doing, and this is the work that they are. So we normally advise for academia and research institutions to come through and form part of these stakeholders, and see how they can best assist community-based organizations. We're moving forward to some of the key stakeholders examples that we can share, like beneficiaries of the programs. We normally call them beneficiaries, yes, of the programs, where we look into key population groups, priority population groups that are actually the beneficiaries of the program that CBOs they are running within their particular communities. So within those, you will find out that, like I said earlier on, to say we are focusing on the NSP goals. And goal number 1, breaking down barriers. Maybe goal number 2, speaking about how can we maximize equitable access to services and solutions for HIV, TB, and STIs. So as part of the beneficiaries who benefit this thing, they get to know how can they assist some of the key population groups that might be residing in a different area that is facing challenges when it comes to breaking down barriers, that is facing challenges when it comes to maximizing equitable access to services, that speaks to HIV, TB, and STIs. So within those particular beneficiaries, you bring them in the key stakeholder flag, you bring them to say how can they co-create solutions and see from their knowledge that they've gathered, being part of the beneficiaries of the program, what can they share with us so that we can know how to approach some of the aspects of the program. You'll also find out that they are the people that we are targeting, and they have the better know-how of how we can approach them. They have the better know-how of the dynamics of these key population groups. So in bringing them into picture within and examples of these stakeholders, we are leveraging that type of know-how, that type of knowledge that they have that constitute those kind of people to say, what can they share with us and how can we use that as one of the ways to create solutions. Just out of an example, you'll find out that there are some community-based organizations that are dealing with sex workers, some that are dealing with people who use drugs. So in making those kind of programs to be a success, you will find out that within your stakeholders, you need to have some of those people forming part of the stakeholder grouping that you might be having, forming part of the steering committee or committee imaging sessions, so that they can bring in that technical expertise to say, no, us as this particular group, we want to be approached in this manner. Us as this key population group, we want these services to be actually tailored in this way. In doing that, you are gaining also from your side as part of the guys who are doing program implementation. You get to know how best can you look into engaging the beneficiaries, look into an accessible way to serve the key and vulnerable population groups. And also another examples of the key stakeholders that you can look into in South African context, we have civil society forum. So civil society forum works best to actually advocate for whatever program that you guys are doing. So in the civil society space, we have different sectors, men's sector, women's sector, people living with HIV sector, research sector, sex work sector, all those kind of sectors, but there are 18 of them in the context of South Africa. So then their just basic mandate is to advocate for the kind of sectors that they are based in. So in bringing forth the civil society people and civil society personnel into the program, your program implementation, we are bringing with them that advocacy, that activism that they bring into the picture. As an example, if you are a community-based organization that are dealing with things to do with human rights, targeting key population groups, you will find that it will be important for you to engage with the civil society so that they can bring in that human rights sector within your program, because they are coming with it in terms of activism. How can they best assist you when it comes to activism and recognition of those kind of human rights? So those are the examples that I wanted to share with you when it comes to stakeholders and how the different dynamics that they can bring when it comes to your program. But then we can also look into maybe another component that brings with the stakeholders to say, why is stakeholder engagement critical in community-based implementation? So you'll find that stakeholder engagement is critical in the sense that it enhances program relevance, whereby it aligns interventions with community needs. So out of the example that I just shared with you, you get a picture when it comes to say, how then do you seek that type of relevance, whereby I shared some examples to say, this is what you can do, and then these are the people that you can call into when you're now doing your program design, so that you ensure that the program that you are doing, it's relevant to the community needs that you are seeking. So in inviting all those stakeholders to come into picture, you are trying to find out what exactly are the community needs. Once you have got all those kind of things, you also go back to the same stakeholders to say, how can we ensure that these needs are addressed? That is where you do the co-creation of solutions with those stakeholders using that technical expertise that they might be having. And another element, second element of the importance of stakeholder engagement and its criticality is in the sense of building trust and buy-in, whereby all these programs, they need to succeed when communities feel ownership. So what I'm trying to say by this, when the communities feel like they are part of the process, when communities feel like they are also, it's their own program as well, when the stakeholders feel also that this is their program, they can run with it. You are also building trust in that environment. You are also building their buy-in. For instance, community leaders, when the community leaders, they are engaged in the inception and the planning before you even implement, when you are still planning, if you engage the community leaders, if you are engaging healthcare workers, if you are engaging the law enforcement agencies, if you are engaging the key population groups themselves that you'll be dealing with, you will find that you get to have that trust, regardless of the things that might happen in the phase of the program being implemented. Those guys, you have already gained their trust, you have already gained their buy-in. In as much as the community-based organizations might be implementing that particular program, you will find that you have their support in whatever that you will be doing, and you have their guidance in whatever that you are doing, because you are constantly cultivating that trust with the stakeholders. You are constantly cultivating that buy-in. So you are letting them to take ownership of that particular program. Hence, in doing that, you are putting them into the program. They can run with it. You are making them to manage and own the program themselves. Another critically important element when it comes to the importance of stakeholder engagement is sustainability of the programs that we are running in our respective communities. You will find out that if you integrate the stakeholders with the program, and they get to know what exactly do they need to do, your program is bound to be sustainable. Your program is bound to ensure its continued impact beyond if it's a certain funding cycle that you'll be having. So because the program is now part of the communities themselves, they are owning the program. So which means they know, should something like this happen, they know how to mitigate around those kind of elements, and they know how to solve their own issues. And they know how to also, for instance, if it's a program that has to do with referrals, if it's a program that has to link it with people to care, they now know who should they go to the healthcare facility to link or to refer a particular person. They now know to say, if something I'm feeling, maybe let's say symptoms of this particular aspect of that was being addressed by the program, I am now in a position to say I can go to so and so within that particular healthcare facility, and so might be in a position to assist me without maybe feeling like I'm stigmatized, without the recipient of care feeling like maybe they're being discriminated and so on. So it creates that unity within the community, and it creates that aspect of saying the communities, they can live with this. It's now part of their lives. And in as much as the program might come to an end, the communities, you will find out that they will continue living the program way beyond the finding cycle, because you have engaged them at the inception. They understand what the program was all about, they understand the dynamics of the program, and they understand the implementation that was coming along with the program, and they can be in a position to sustain it themselves, even if the funds are to end. And also the stakeholder engagement is important, like I mentioned earlier on, because it promotes that co-creation of solutions, whereby stakeholders, they bring diverse expertise and they bring diverse lived experiences that they would have come up with. So in that particular setting, you'll find that community-based organizations, they need to constantly engage stakeholders into their programs. They need to constantly look into running to stakeholders in every phase of the program. They need to constantly run to the stakeholders and seek advice and seek technical expertise, because these stakeholders, they have lived experiences, like I mentioned earlier on, to say they know the dynamics of these kind of issues that the communities might be facing. Whether it could be a dynamic that speaks to them working in that particular community, being a community leader, they understand the community better. We are speaking of dynamics of them working at healthcare facilities. They understand the communities, and they also understand the aspect of systems within the healthcare facilities, and they know how they can integrate whatever program that the community would have introduced. So community-based organizations, it's critical that they constantly run to stakeholders, they constantly involve them in decision making and also in the co-creation of solutions, because in doing so you will find out that the solutions that would have come out of them, they are tailored specifically to that particular intervention. They are tailored specifically to that kind of program. So, and it also, moving forward to the next point, it also strengthens when it comes to policy and advocacy, whereby it empowers communities to influence health and social policies. Like I said earlier on, if you are to invite the civil society forum, the civil society people, they are dealing with activism in most of their work. And that particular activism needs to be informed by what the communities are saying. It needs to be informed by what the stakeholders are saying. So if the stakeholders feel like these things can bring about the betterment of their communities, they need to involve those civil society forum people who bring in the muscle of advocacy, who brings in the muscle of influence when it comes to policies. And if they are to get that feel to say, this is what the communities themselves, this is what the communities trust us to do, they can be in a position to advocate for their communities. They can be in a position to advocate for the policies, different policies that might be happening within the program implementation. Another element that I want us to maybe to share with you is approaches to effective stakeholder engagement. So you will find out that in the aspect of approaches, community-based organizations, they have a wide array when it comes to methodologies that they use in their program implementation sites. And us as Best Health Solutions, we have always believed that in this stakeholder engagement and also in involving stakeholder engagement, we need to look specifically to human-centered approach. So this human-centered approach is an approach that speaks to co-creation of solutions after bringing in the communities themselves, after bringing in the stakeholders themselves to come and co-create those kind of solutions. In the manner in which we have done it as Best Health Solutions, we have done it in a qualitative angle. But not only that, we have also tried the quantitative angle. So whereby we develop data collection tools. And you will find out that within those tools, we are using the approach of human-centered design, whereby the people that we are targeting as our informants, they are the ones who are telling us what to do. So we go to them in an empty brain to say we know nothing about this kind of things. You guys need to come and teach us how we can do it. You guys need to come with those kind of solutions. So it's a listening skill that we try to push to say we are listening to communities using these qualitative and quantitative data collection tools, and then they are themselves who tells us how can we best approach this kind of thing. So those kind of questions, the way we structure them in such a way that they bring in that human element of it. They bring in the human solutions that the recipients and our informants are telling us. And another thing, we have done the co-creation of workshops whereby stakeholders develop those types of interventions together. And we have tried to move in the route of focus group discussions, whereby we go to the communities, we do focus group discussions based on the area of coverage of type of theme that we'll be looking into doing. So you find that also as an example, I'm just trying as I'm doing examples, I'm just trying to create a picture of how we do it and also how this stakeholder engagement actually is being unpacked. So when we are doing this focus group discussion, for example, when we are seeking some interventions or we are seeking some solutions, for instance, with people who use drugs, what we normally do, we do a focus group discussions with people who use drugs. So in doing that focus group discussion, we are only there just to coordinate everything. But most of the things that are being said, most of the discussions that are happening, they are happening amongst the people who use drugs. Because they are the ones who are telling us the solutions. They are the ones who are coming up with their problems that they are facing, and within those problems, they are the ones who also bring in solutions. So it becomes easier when you are now advocating for this kind of key and population groups to say, these people, they are facing this kind of things as community-based organizations, they are implementing their programs. And we feel like they can be assisted better in this manner But you'll find that we are bringing in these solutions not only as best health solutions, but it's a solution that came with the people who use drugs. So we are saying these people, they are facing these problems, and their solutions that they need to come up with, they are these kind of solutions. So that is one way of doing that human-centered design approach, one way of listening, and one way of coming up with solutions that is speaking basically into effective stakeholder engagement and how we can be influential. And you will find out that we have also tried to push in the space of social media, whereby we make our posts to be as much as interactive as they can be. We try and make also our communication to be as engaging as it can be, because we are of the belief that these solutions, in as much as we can go to community-based organizations to seek those kind of solutions from the key population groups, they need to be constantly evolving, some of them, and because we are looking at times are changing and stuff like that. So as we are doing, and some of the network of people that can give us almost those kind of solutions, they are in the social media community. So as we are letting the social media community to engage with our post, we are also in the process of continuous learning and adaptation to various aspects of learning. So we need to do that, like as I mentioned, to say our posters, we try and make them to be as interactive as they can be, so that we can get those feedbacks, we can get to have some of the solutions being from social media. And surprising enough, using this approach, we have actually managed to publish an article. So there was an article that we were publishing. It was mostly speaking into men and them accessing services. It was conducted here in Gauteng. But all the feedback, all the data collection that was gathered was from the social media. It was from Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. It was from Facebook. So you'll find that we utilized these social media platforms not only to share our post, but also to gather feedback from the people that will be looking into creating some of the solutions with them. So we did the study, it was conducted on Facebook. We received almost all the information that we were looking for from Facebook, as the men whom we were targeting were part of those key informants through engaging with our post that was shared on Facebook. That's how we gathered that particular information, and we are in a position to showcase, to say, you know what, this is what these men from this particular area are facing, and this is what are the solutions that they are bringing into the table. So we put that as part of the best practices, and we were in a position to publish that paper, and it went up. And we believe that we did not write that paper. Men from that particular catchment area that we are seeking information from, they are the ones who wrote that paper. They are the ones who brought solutions into the problem that was being faced, whereby men were not accessing healthcare services. So it also, the stakeholder engagement, it also brings in that participatory action research, whereby we have tried to empower community-based organizations to lead data collection and also to lead their analysis. Because you will find in the space where we are, community-based organizations, they are very good when it comes to data collection. Community-based organizations, they understand the dynamics of the communities where they implement. Community-based organizations, they have mastered the craft of conducting interviews. They have mastered the art of coordinating this kind of focus group discussions. They have mastered the art of the communities where they actually live, and the communities where they implement their programs, because they have done the phases of planning, they did the phases of community mapping, they know who's who in that particular community. So in bringing in the CPOs to form part of this type of stakeholder coordination, communities themselves, they bring in the element of them leading the data collection and leading the analysis of that particular data collection. You'll find that should they do that, they're also gaining and they're also growing when it comes to them owning their data, when it comes to them telling the stories from a community level perspective. And we have tried by all means to say, in as much as these communities, they are implementing this thing, can they move away from the culture of collecting data and also just shelving it in their shelves and putting it comfortable in their local cabinets, or some of them putting it comfortable in their Google Drives? Because that particular information that they are obtaining from the key population groups that they are targeting, they need to utilize that information to tell the stories of the people that they are targeting. Once they do that, they gain support from the civil society people, they gain support from the people who are doing policies to say, no, these particular communities, they documented this and they shared this as part of their best practices. And which means this is what is happening in their communities. And if doing that, you find that they become the voice of their communities. So we have tried to do this through inviting CPOs to form part of abstract writing as part of our stakeholder engagement strategy. So community-based organizations, they come through, we just assist them to collect data, but with that data that they've collected, we just also bring in from our side the technical expertise in terms of putting together the abstract. But we only stop there. Once the abstract is finalized, they submit the abstract themselves. They are the ones who also come now and speak into the data that they live within their communities. So that is one of the participatory action research that we are trying to push, to say these communities, they understand these dynamics better. These communities, they are living with these particular key population groups. These communities, they are the ones who are implementing this work. Let them be the ones who tell the story. Let them be the ones who know and share, because they understand it better more than scientific aspects of it. They are speaking from lived experiences. They are speaking from something that they are facing almost on a day-to-day basis. And you will find that it also not only stops at that in terms of its effectiveness of the stakeholder engagement. It also promotes that part of multi-sectoral collaboration, whereby you will find that the example that I made earlier, I want to say we are bringing communities to work with research institutions. In doing that, they are bridging the gap between research and practice, because institutions, they bring in the technical expertise of them being at an institutional level, but community-based organizations, they bring in the expertise of them living, residing within those particular communities, living this program, and also living with the key people that they are targeting. So once we do that, we are bringing forth that part of sectoral collaboration, whereby the communities, they get to come together with the universities, and then they publish something, and then they showcase the work that they're doing. And we also invite, they can also be in a position to invite the civil society forum. Should it be a program that needs advocacy work, they can also invite the civil society forum, because they bring in that element of advocacy, they bring in that element of activism. So you will find that stakeholder engagement, it promotes that collaboration. It promotes different dynamics of the communities to work together to target one particular issue that they will be facing, to come up with solutions to that particular, to say how can we best address these kind of things. And then you find out that's how it gets to promote that type of collaboration. So in terms of moving on to another element now, when we are to discuss practical strategies for engaging stakeholders. So now I'm speaking about if you are in a certain community and you are looking to say, how can I do what Tempo is speaking about today, to say this stakeholder engagement? How can I ensure that I implement this and I bring it into practicality within my community? So some of the strategies that you can use for engaging stakeholders, for instance, you can look into stakeholder mapping. So in this aspect, you identify and categorize all stakeholders based on their influence and interest. So in your particular community, you'll find out that there are different stakeholders that have different interests and that have different influence. So you need to do a stakeholder mapping of all the key role players that are residing within your communities. It becomes easier when you are faced with a different issue, and it becomes easier to say whom can you rope in to come and assist you with that. So the first aspect that you need to do is to conduct that stakeholder mapping. Know who is who within your community. Know who does what within your community. Know their influence and their interest within your particular community. Another element, you will find that I'm speaking this from a community-based organization level, because we have been doing this with community-based organizations through our collaborative work. Community-based organizations, they have part of their indicators when they are doing their program implementation, where they need to do consultative meetings, where they need to do steering committee meetings, community immersion sessions. So as you are doing that, you need to constantly ensure that all those they are continuous, and that part of dialogue involves the stakeholders and on a regular basis. In as much as you might be looking into doing a steering committee, ensure that your steering committee is being formed by the stakeholders that you need to bring in because of their expertise. Ensure that in every consultation or a meeting that you need to do, it has to have all the elements of the stakeholders, depending on the objective of that particular meeting and what you are hoping to achieve. And you will find that it will be easier for you if you have done the stakeholder mapping when you are now sending out the invitations to say, can you please come through, we are having this is the agenda, and so on. And another thing, they are strategically, the stakeholders, they do what we call this, when it comes to addressing concerns, challenges, and program gaps, they can be in a better position to fill in those kind of gaps. They can be in a better position to address those concerns. They can be in a better position to address some of the challenges that you might be facing as a community-based organizations, because they understand these things a lot easier and so on. And also capacity building, where you train CPOs and community representatives to participate meaningfully. So some of these stakeholders, you need to have this capacity building, also part of organization, to say, in doing that part, capacity building, you need to clear out the roles to say, so and so does this, so and so it is doing this, and this is how we can bring in everyone into picture, and this is how each and everyone can actually be in a position to partake and participate and share their knowledge relating to that. So that is some of the practical strategies that you can look for when you're engaging your stakeholders. And another element is using of digital platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, as some of the platforms that you can engage with your stakeholders in. Or this one where we are doing now at Personal Solutions, whereby we are doing webinars, we are doing podcasts, because we are engaging with some of the people who might be not in a position to be with us in the same space and get to engage with us. But as we are doing those kind of things, we are saying, people with hope that we will get engagement from some of the stakeholders who might be having some knowledge to share with us when it comes to these kind of things. But in all that I've just said, there are some challenges that can come up when it comes to stakeholder engagement and so on. So not everything is rosy. You'll find that some of the times when you are doing stakeholder engagement, you will face some of the glitches here and there. Glitches that can be speaking into a lack of trust, whereby, and then when there is lack of trust within some of the stakeholders, that element that I spoke to earlier on, to say when you are engaging them at the inception, you are building that. You are building that type of transparency, you are building that aspect of open communication. Once you do that, you will find out that you will overcome the aspect of lack of trust. Because in some of the stakeholders, there might be that lack of trust and so on. But in inviting them at the inception and taking them through with them, helping them to say, this is what is going to happen now, this is what is happening now. Once you do that, you are building that transparency. You are also building that open communication with the stakeholders. It becomes easier for them to trust the process and them to trust the issues that you are trying to address as you are unrolling your program. In some of the things, you'll find out that the challenges that you can face is challenges that comes to maybe resource constraints. So some of the issues that speaks to stakeholder engagement, they are not necessarily need to have resources that can speak like that. So you overcome some of the things through speaking to the stakeholders to say, this is what you are facing, this is what is happening, and they can be in a position to assist you without any resources being involved. Yes, I know that there might be some that might be need to involve resources, but most of the times they won't really need to have, you need to come up with strategies to say, how can I mitigate a resource constraint and so that I can achieve the goal that I want to achieve with this particular stakeholder. At times, there might be issues to do with conflicting interest. So in overcoming some of those conflict interests that might be happening within the stakeholders, you need to ensure that you foster shared goals and common ground. If stakeholders understand that this is the interest that you are having, these are the goals that you hope to achieve by this particular period, these are the common grounds that you will be standing on, it becomes easier for them to reshape some of their interest into you and give it a full force and a full participation. Also on your side as a community-based organization, you need to be in a position to identify stakeholders whom you share goals with, whom you've identified to say these ones, they are in the position to assist us because we share the same objectives, we share the same goals, and we are looking into doing similar interests and stuff like that. So those are some of the issues that we need to discuss when it comes to stakeholder engagement. And I think that is it on my side for now, but I will please tune in, let's say every Tuesday at 2 p.m. we will be discussing stakeholder engagement and all things that speaks to stakeholder engagement and how we can ensure that as community-based organizations, how can we mitigate around the dynamics of stakeholder engagement. And I'm so much open to say, should you want us to discuss a certain topic that you feel like this one can actually assist us to come up with some of the interventions or to mitigate around the stakeholder engagement aspect of it. Feel free to share some of the topics that you want us to discuss, and also feel free to engage with our post. Feel free to give us guidance also on our side to say, how can we do this stakeholder engagement? How can we best share our knowledge and so on? Also, as part of the community-based organizations, how can you take your stakeholder engagement department into a different level? Because those are some of the issues that we want to see happening. We want to see community-based organizations thriving. We want to see community-based organizations focusing on the broader aspect of program implementation, on the broader aspect of stakeholder engagement, and how they can mitigate some of the issues. There are different dynamics that speaks to stakeholder engagement that I could have not touched on. So, like I said, feel free to tune in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. We'll be dealing with these dynamics of stakeholders. And with that being said, I want us to also be in a position to share some of the things that you think we might be in a position to discuss with you, or that you would like us to discuss. We are open to doing that, and we are open to your suggestions and also improving the stakeholder engagement, not only from our side, but also from the community-based organization side. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for tuning in and for watching this video, and we hope that I shared some knowledge when it comes to stakeholder engagement. See you next time. Bye.